Stream mode is dead and we have focus mode instead. This week's updates have been really cool. We've done added a lot of polish to Clipflow, which is kind of like, I guess, the vitamin features people would say, not the painkiller features, but the overall experience has been improved quite a lot. That's just these small little things that just, when people move from other products that they kind of expect or want it to feel like. So this week we added team workload, which is actually a really cool feature. This is more for people that are managing bigger teams. Think agencies like service providers that are doing editing across multiple channels. So we've added now a really cool workload graph over the next 14 days. So you can see how your team how many tasks they have been assigned, and you can customize the tasks depending on how hard they are with different amounts of points. Like we kind of borrowed the story points thing from tech, brought it into the old video workflow, but it just allows you to then see if you can give them more tasks, how your whole team's performing. If someone's got nothing on, you can shift tasks to them. So it just makes things like that really clear. On the back of that, we also added the invite client workflow. So now as an agency, you can invite clients to work with you in Clipflow, but this is also the building blocks for inviting sponsors or brands to work with you on projects as well. So that's kind of a really cool feature as well. Really simple. We built it and then we stripped it back and redid it just to make it even better because it was getting a bit complex. We weren't happy with it, so we pulled it back and redid it. So that turned out really nicely. We also, so the vitamin features we did this week was we updated the blank state for the thumbnail. It was quite aggressive from when we originally started. We kind of had the concept of missing, in Premiere Pro, you have a missing file, and it was quite aggressive for a lot of people. They found it a bit confusing. So we've gone back, toned it back a bit, and we've also added a button now that just shows you that that's packaging. So when there's a little button there to click and it takes you to the packaging screen. So just improve the UX slightly, but it makes a big change overall. The whole look and feel of the app changed by doing that small thing. We also did the outline and scripting now. So we've filled the vertical height, and each container now scrolls. It sounds like a simple change, but when you're actually working on something, you have two pieces of text, basically documents side by side. You can scroll one to a point and then work from there. So it's a workflow kind of thing, and it actually looks really cool as well, and it's quite functional. Then we've did a whole bunch of changes for medium and small screen. So a lot of people run 2 screens side by side. Daryl does, for instance, and we've now fixed a whole bunch of bugs. We just had a few visual bugs. We've fixed them, and then we've just updated it so it feels like it's purposely been built for those screen sizes. That was really cool. And then finally, we've taken our long-loved stream mode feature. It was one of the weird random concepts we had day one, the ability to toggle stream mode and hide some of the UI. It ended up being more of a pain in the ass than anything else, because it would hide some UI, then people were like, where's the button gone to create something? So, after all this time...
That'll probably happen to focus mode too as well. People will turn it on and then be like, where did everything go?
Yeah, the nice thing about focus mode is that I did work through and actually be quite specific in that it didn't hide key functionality. So it doesn't hide your create button. And if it does in the project view, it puts in, there's another button, there is another way to do it. And it just condenses the UI. So again, it puts focus on what you're trying to do, on the content. So it's quite a nice improvement. So there we go. That's what we did in the feature front. Daryl, how'd we go with the meetings this week?
Meetings were good. We had a really long one with a talent manager about how they manage brands and sponsors and the current tools they're using, which was super useful for me because I'm building or designing that at the moment, that whole process. Throughout that process, I've found that there's lots of solutions out there that do various bits and pieces, but nothing that really helps a creator manage their projects as much as the others. Most of them are targeted around the brand manager or the brand, which we can do a good job of, but they don't really help the creator to plan all of their content out, make sure they've got brand sponsors on each video, all those sort of things. So that'll be a nice unique point that we can take on. The chat was really good. It was also, it's hard when you're planning for big things and you want to talk about all the big things you're planning, but you don't know what's actually going to come to fruition because everything's in a state of flux of whether or not you're going to do it. So you're talking to people, you're like, yeah, we might do this, we might do that. And it means nothing because you don't know if you're actually going to deliver it. So you can't really overpromise in the things that you're going to do, even though we know that we're probably going to end up doing most of those things. So you got to try and do it both ways. And then the other really good chat we had was with an agency owner and their head operations person, talking about how they run their clients through the system. And this was just a confirmation of the things that you've just spoken about that we were adding. So team workload, inviting clients to the accounts, and the way they work. And it seems like everything is going to work really well for them. And in some cases, we've thought of things in advance of them even thinking of it, which is pretty good as well.
Yeah. And that's, I think, the nice benefit of coming from a project management space prior, because we understand kind of like what you do need. And we ran similar tools or built similar tools. They're not the same, but they're similar for our internal processes. So it was very good. Yeah, so that was this week. That was a great week. We did so much stuff. I feel exhausted. Funnily enough, we just crammed a lot in a short period of time. But the product is just looking, I posted on LinkedIn because I was just so pumped at like where we've come in 6 months of just working and just every day just iterating on small pieces. And we had feedback in the meetings. It's like, this app has so much. You know, it's already getting to that stage where there's so much, everything's covered. And this is running an agency with multiple clients. You know, they bring on multiple clients at a time. So it's quite an interesting strategy for marketing as well. It's like sign 1 to sign 10. Or 20 or 30 or however big they are. So it's very interesting. And then you're also giving them a lot of tools that they just don't have. There's very few tools that are built around this whole YouTube kind of space to do task or project management. Everyone's kind of done the ideation and we're moving into the space. So very exciting and keen, and they're just going hard already. So we can just see the project numbers are just flying up, and just keen to just keep helping them, you know, fine tune until they can run this business with their eyes closed. So we'll catch you guys on the next one.
See you next week.